Hello and welcome to the Keto Fitness and Everything in Between podcast. Today, Gia and I will be talking about one of those in-between things, which is business. Now, business is something that we are both passionate about, and we're both passionate about helping people start their business journey as well. So within these podcasts, you'll be hearing about startups, getting started, gig economy, and just all these things that you don't really realize until you start a business yourself. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. Hopefully it will inspire you to take your steps into starting your own business. If not, we hope we can start, at least be potentially planting the seed for that future idea. So if you love this, please leave us a review. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask us.
On the influencer side, you have these micro influencers that are spending so much money on products in the hope that they'll get an advert out of it or a sponsorship or an affiliate. And if you're constantly having to spend that money on those products just to get that, then you're not doing enough for yourself to be able to actually sustain that, because it can only go on so long before you're like, oh, actually I can't afford rent, I can't afford my food because I've bought XYZ. And I feel like we've kind of been surrounded by people that want to be up there but haven't got the knowledge of how to get there.
Yeah, I feel like with influencer, like that's a whole world that like I don't understand. And I imagine a lot of people that kind of, get the following up, like also don't understand what it means and like what you can do, what the potential is as well. It feels to me like there's a whole shift. Like, do you know how you had like the Industrial Revolution and all this like technological revolution? Like, I feel like we're having like influencer one as well, because it's like, it's just a whole new ball game for people. But it's like, what is it? What does it mean? What do you do? There needs to be like an education.
I mean, I think people aren't giving enough out. So, for instance, like you've got people that they're like fashion, let's say, like that they've got a fashion blog, but they're not giving anything out to their audience. I'm going to be frank, people are impatient, people are greedy, and people are cheap for the most part. So if you're not giving out stuff for free, you can't expect engagement, because people aren't going to want to like be listening to you. It's like, as again, like very different to service-based, because you are paying for a service, but from something that you could literally start at home, then you have to be churning out something that people actually want and people would be drawn into. I mean, I've been looking through a lot of Facebook ads. I've been clicking on a lot of the Facebook ads that I want to see, just to see how they're doing it, how they create their sales funnel, and how they're creating ads to get people on email marketing. I mean, my email is now filled with loads of things about blogs, podcasts, monetization, and basically like my entire industry, just so that I can get more of an understanding of what people want. But then if you're going in blind, you're never going to understand what people are actually clicking on until you do that yourself.
Yeah, because you've got to understand what people want. And one of the things as well, so like you talk about giving things out, like I think that's really interesting, because like I feel that, and like I'm not talking from an authoritative place here either, like this is just my kind of view on influencers, is like people that are giving out more, so adding value, like actually giving out information that is credible, reviewing honestly. I feel even if they have a smaller following, I feel that you get influencers even around like the 5K mark, do you know what I mean? Like they're giving a lot, like the engagement rate is higher, people are more likely to work with them. And as well, I don't know like what you feel about like niches. Do you feel you need to find a niche, or do you still think it's like, do you know what I mean, like it's okay to be broader?
Thing is, I mean, you can be broad, but you need to be honest and you need to be credible. So for instance, my niche is very small. Vegan keto is extremely small. Don't ask me why I picked it, but I was obviously just documenting at the time. I never thought that it would ever get bigger.
I think it's a good niche, by the way.
Thank you. But obviously like that has a lot of bubbles within vegan, within gluten-free, within just normal keto, low carb, like it's got a lot of bubbles. But if you're going into something general, you either have to give something new and exciting, or you have to be giving stuff out for free, and you have to be honest and credible and transparent. as soon as someone finds out like something is like wrong with your profile, or I see so many people making the mistake of buying followers. Like, you can see clearly that there's like a tool online, and I know that we've used it within our group chat, the like influencer marketing one, and if someone's got like under 50 out of 100, they're probably buying followers, or they're buying likes, or they're buying comments. And one, like, Instagram knows that it's going to wreck your algorithm, and two, what's the point? Because you're again paying, it's the same as product, you're paying out for a service without getting anything back.
You're paying for a shortcut that's not actually going to get you there any quicker.
It'll just get your numbers up. That's literally it.
It will be noticed by brands, maybe, but when they actually look into you, which brands do now, of course, as well, like, it feels like it's moved away from how many followers you have more to you know, what your engagement is. Because like, I spoke to a few influencer marketing agencies, and like I spoke to 3, and they all work in like completely different ways, but actually a lot of them are more around like, you know, they will go and handpick influencers around, you know, whatever product that it is or service that you have to offer, but it's always about engagement as opposed to the number of followers, which I thought was really interesting. And it's good because like I think we're over the kind of, oh, they've got 1 million followers, everything they're saying must be true. Like, you know, there's so much more transparency out there now, so I think it's, you know, it's a really good thing. It's just so interesting. I mean, like, even like these agencies are talking about, they have influencers that are 1 to 2K as well.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that micro-influencers are likely to post about you more and to have real honest conversations with people, rather than like almost like a nameless kind of influencer that doesn't respond to DMs, that doesn't post stories that are actually engaging. They're all sponsored or affiliate, and you can see through their comment section that they are making real connections to their followers.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, Facebook ads or no Facebook ads?
Okay.
Because I know you have a lot to say on this.
Well, do you know, I'm not sure about Facebook ads. Literally had this conversation yesterday again. So I was saying that I feel if somebody was looking into slothmove, like, or if we were to look into slothmove and it wasn't ours, like, the one thing that I would have said is run more ads, get your name out there, even if it's like an awareness piece or whatever it is. But it's just not something that we've done. And I don't know if it's just because like I don't understand Facebook ads, or, you know, the best way to run them. One thing that I found with Facebook ads is like, it's really difficult, especially for like what we do. It's very difficult to like target people. Like, they used to have a behavior which is about to move home. Like, they used to have that and they got rid of it. And I was like, oh, damn it. So I don't know. I did run one that was really successful, and it was an ad that we basically ran like a competition to get some followers on Facebook, and that went so well. But I feel like you've got to be giving something out for people to, you know, to hit through.
Yeah, I mean, I know like from my own experience of kind of clicking through these Facebook ads that I was only clicking on the ones that were like how-to guide or like 10 free ways to do this. I mean, the only money that I've ever, because it has to say free, I'm not going to click on you if you say that you can transform my Instagram for $27. Like, it's not going to happen, I'm sorry. Because if you really aren't giving out anything for free, then no one can judge what your service is. Obviously, for you've got like a lot more information on your website about like how it works and all that. But for someone where it's literally a person and they're telling you that they can do all of this, you just aren't going to want to spend that money.
Yeah, I think Facebook definitely work when it is a person. If it's you and your face, like a person's face, like, I think that works so much better. Because I think it's when you're on Facebook, like, this is just like a me opinion thing. Like, when I'm on Facebook, I'm scrolling through, you know, friends and families, like, posts and memes and things, and then all of a sudden, boom, something pops up for me to buy. I'm like, just scrolling. Whereas if something interesting came up and I'm like, oh, cool, who's this? What have they got to say? Like, I definitely find myself stopping and looking at ads which have someone that is helping with something as opposed to somebody that's selling something. So
I shared with you that webinar the other week. She'd done this webinar, and for the first 40 minutes, it was actually really interesting. But then by the end, she was obviously moving to try and sell you her program, and it is a complete marketing like genius move, but I find that kind of like fast moving selling doesn't work on everyone. And what you were saying about targeting ads is actually honestly like so true, because I've done a lot of Facebook ads just to try and like build engagement, and you get like free credits sometimes, just trying to use those. And I found that I was more concerned with the engagements rather than whether they are actually part of my targeted audience. And I think people aren't using ads to the right kind of capability. Like I've seen a lot on Instagram that are not relevant at all to anything that I've ever clicked on.
But yeah, I feel like Facebook ads is like another one of those minefields. If you don't look into it or you come from like a background of marketing, like I think it is just crazy. And I almost think it's definitely like a waste of money unless you know exactly what you're doing and you have the metrics that you're wanting. Because like you say, there's like the engagement rate, but then there's also what's the quality of the people that are engaging.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know if you've been through like the Instagram version of the like Facebook ad manager. So basically you click like promote, you go through, and then if your audience isn't above a certain number, it like doesn't want you to follow through with that advert. So you could literally like put like one keyword, but it'll say that's like too little. It'll like come up with a notification at the top. It'll still let you do it, but if you're looking at that for the first time and you think, oh, maybe like that's not enough, maybe I should be putting it to more people. It's not that. It's that Facebook doesn't want you to spend money on relevant ads because you'll then spend less money on ads.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like, and like I guess like you've gone through it as well, like when you're starting your own thing, there's so much to learn so quickly, so many different elements of just what it takes. Like one minute you're doing marketing, the next it's like, okay, content, and you know, like I just find I'm wearing so many hats all the time. And like when you come across something new, like you always come across something new, it's like, oh god, how do you do this? Okay, I'm gonna go find out. Like all the time, like a roller coaster.
I was going to say like that I'd seen that Bill's ad. I don't know if you've seen the one with the air cooler. It was like a complete ploy, and underneath there was just so many unhappy people that had literally signed up like the day before, and then they're just, I mean, it was a heat wave in the UK like this week, and those people just weren't ever going to get their air cooler because they'd already purchased. They were so mad. And it was just like comment after comment. That was literally all of the comments, but they don't realise that they are actually increasing these people's engagement, but I guess they're just costing them money for bad comments. But I just thought that was just like, why would you do that? Because people are already on edge because it's like 35 degrees, but to then run a competition for that, and FYI the prize wasn't going to be delivered for 3 months because you had to sign up for that long. I'm just like, don't people read T's and C's?
I think that's the one thing as well about ads is the fact that there's comments. So like if you are pushing a product, and I don't know if you've looked at the comments sometimes, like they're all such negative comments and things that have gone wrong, and you know, saying customer service haven't got back to me, and it's almost like, and it's not a reason to not put ads out, but it's almost like it's another area for prospective customers to actually see what current customers are experiencing.
Oh yeah, if there's a lot of comments, I'm always going to check the comments. You're not just going to not do it.
This is Joe. We were talking about that one last week about those like skinny holding like.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's saying like they're obviously sucking in. I love those ads where it's like this. You're just mugging people off.
Do you have a lot of gullible people on the internet though?
It's so sad. I feel sorry as well at the same time. It's like, oh come on, don't fall for it. You're better than this.
Something that I think, you know, we both struggled with kind of challenges in branding ourselves and marketing, but what would you say would be your biggest challenge?
Definitely like imposter syndrome. I really don't feel like I'm from a business background. Didn't even study like business at GCSE or at school, like any kind of business module. And I think that already set me off on like the back foot, because I'm like, I'm talking to all these different people. Like I spoke to like a CEO of an energy company and, you know, CEOs of other companies. And I'm here feeling like God, do I even have the right to be speaking to them? Like, little old me, do you know what I mean? Like, so that's definitely like has been my biggest challenge, like kind of just backing myself.
I mean, I'd have to say for me is I've really struggled with consistency for so long, and it was probably to do with imposter syndrome, that I didn't feel like I should have been the one to be influencing people. I say that in quotes because I will still never call myself like a proper influencer. Maybe when I get to like 100k, then we'll talk again.
So I think you have the right to that title. Like, you put out great information.
Thank you. I mean, I think my post on watermelon was extremely important to life. If people have never tried watermelon with tagine seasoning, then you are missing out.
Yeah, I need that.
But I mean, the thing is that if you can believe in yourself so much, but then if you can't let go of the fact that you are trying to start something and you do deserve to be in that field, then you're going to struggle. I mean, as I said, like, my burnout was definitely because of imposter syndrome, because I was not 100% on keto, so I did not feel like I should have been posting. And what was I going to post? I'm not going to post like my packet of Oreos that I've just eaten, because it's not a part of my page. Like, and you can say that you want to be real, but when you've got the pressure of people putting out recipe after recipe, like day after day, then you're going to want to be posting something like that.
Yeah, I kind of know how you feel on that one, because like I had my Instagram page, and I used to post like daily, if not twice daily, like when I first started it back in 2016. And it was called, what was it called then? Fat Ass to Fit Last. That was my handle. And then it got to a point, and it was probably about a year ago, that I stopped posting, like you say, as consistently. And it's because focusing on slothmove and also working full time, like I lost focus on myself. Like, that was the thing that suffered, because I was working like so many hours in a day and burning out and just exhausted. Like, I just started putting away. And then I always felt like it was wrong for me to post and to even talk about being healthy when I didn't feel healthy myself. Like, it, I know exactly where I know where you're coming from, because it's really difficult, and it almost like you feel like you're letting people down. So weird. And it's like we shouldn't put that on us, because it's like we are just people. Like, you know, life, it's just life, isn't it? But it's so hard to like tell yourself that at the time.
I mean, I was on my way to being like one of those kind of like success stories because of the way that I was going, but no one saw the behind the scenes, that I was only eating certain food, and that some of the food that I probably showed I might not have even eaten, or I'd like put it straight in the fridge and I'd eaten it like the next day. It wasn't so clear cut, like this is what I've actually eaten for the day. And I noticed I'd never shared my like macros for the day because I wasn't proud of them, which is so stupid, because when you're eating like non-animal products, you're going to have slightly higher carbs, and that's fine because you're lowering your inflammation by not having dairy or meat.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is as well, like, you were successful with those macros as well. And I think this is the thing, like, especially like swinging back around to keto, 20 grams of carbs, like 5%, that's just kind of like an arbitrary value that people give. It's like around 20 grams a day, you'll be fine. But actually, in reality, people can have 50 to 100 grams a day and still be in ketosis. Like, it would take longer to get into ketosis, but you'd still get into ketosis.
Yeah, especially if you're a healthy, active person.
100%. And I think that's almost where the danger, and I think that's where like all these outside views of keto come from as well. Like, you can't have a banana, you know, can't have this, can't have that. Well, it's like, well, you can. It's just not as cutthroat as 20 a day and that's it, you're done.
Obviously, because you should be counting your macros at least for, you know, the first couple of weeks, just to make sure that you're kind of on track. Obviously, depending on like how you cope with that, because I know a lot of people do struggle, and myself included. Like, if I feel like I haven't eaten that well, then I don't want to be putting it into like an app. As well as that, like, when you do start putting into, you know, putting all your macros into an app, you can get really obsessive over it as well. I feel like because it's almost like a competition with yourself, and a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I think that's how I got into like my bad habit when I first started losing weight, because like I started on like 1,500 calories, and then I was like, I think there was like a couple of days in a week where like I was doing 1,200. I was like, I feel okay on 1,200. Then like 1,200 was the target, and then it was 1,000, and then it ended up being like 500, which thankfully like was just like ketosis, because I'd like have refeed days at the weekend. But again, all not knowing. But yeah, it's how it kind of like panned out for me. So I can definitely see how that can lead to, you know, dangerous eating disorders.
Yeah, but look, like obviously going back to like the business side, like that, I just didn't feel like my brand was me anymore, because I wasn't being truthful with my audience, and I wasn't being truthful with myself about what was actually happening behind the scenes. Like, so I left uni and like on my graduating year, like, and moved back to Cambridge because, you know, family's here, and I didn't really have anyone in Coventry. I know my views on that have kind of changed, where I am going to move back to Coventry, but yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Well, thing is, like I've got my flat there. Like, it does make financial sense and independent sense, and you know, space to film. But when you're doing like a job where you are on your feet all the time and you have one break a day, then and you're like, I mean, I was like starving by like my break time. So like it was just like overeating. Whereas in like a more remote working situation, you can kind of be on track with that.
No, I completely agree with you on that one, because like I posted the other day about fasting, and I was quite strict fasting, like 16/8. Is it 16/8? Yeah, 16/8. And all of a sudden, like my weight loss, and just I just didn't feel good doing it. I don't know what it was, but I think it's because, like you say, you get hungry, and then all of a sudden it gets, because like 12 o'clock was also like in my head, I'd had like 12, we just got to get to 12, got to get to 12. Whereas in actual fact, I could have eaten at 10 and, you know, short, I don't know, whatever. But I just started eating. If I'm hungry now, I eat breakfast, and I just feel so back on track. And I just feel so much better in myself. And I think as well, like fasting isn't good for everyone, especially like I'm sure there's something about fasting isn't the best for women. Like,
Yeah,
we need shorter fast.
yeah, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that I know I've looked at, and while the kind of research is like inconclusive, the main thing is that with the hormonal changes that go through the month, then there may be days where you can't fast. I mean, trying to fast on my period is the worst thing. I like lightheadedness, like iron levels are just plummeting. Like I just I can't do it anymore on that week. I mean, the rest of the week, like I have had success with fasting, and I'm doing kind of 24 hours, you know, just keep carrying that on. But as you said, like if I'm hungry, and I now know what hunger feels like, rather than, you know, just wanting to eat, that
Yeah.
I can now just do that and not have to feel guilty about eating.
Yeah, I literally in the same boat. So I used to think like I'm not hungry, like I'm just being greedy, but it's just not the case. Like if you're hungry, you're hungry. Just eat.
I mean, I have felt like with a lot of the times I have been dehydrated, and I never want to like put the thing out there for fill yourself up with water, because it's not gonna work for everyone. But I have consciously tried to have more water during the day so I can actually feel when I'm truly hungry. And I've been watching a lot of Abby Sharp, and I know she can be a bit controversial on her kind of like dietary choice with the keto community, but she does have a lot of great points about mindful eating, and to actually enjoy the food that you're having, and also to not feel guilty about days where you do have maybe higher carbs, because there are a lot of kind of healthy carbs out there. I mean, whole foods, for instance, I mean, I would probably always stay away from like rice and quinoa and the heavy grains, but something like a sweet potato. I'm not being funny, but like even a normal potato, like if I want a jacket potato like once a month, then I'm probably gonna have it.
Yeah, but it's not a case of treating yourself. It's just nutrition. It's just, you know, our body isn't going to just all of a sudden reject it, or, you know, we're not going to grow horns and a devil tail or some stupid. Do you know what I mean? Mutate.
Obviously, I feel healthier on low carb and keto, but to sacrifice like my mental health to like fit into that 20 grams a day, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
No, and I think as well, like when it comes to eating fruit and vegetable, there's a strict difference between, you know, having loads of chocolate and biscuits versus having fruit and vegetable. Like, they're very different things.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, like, when you're trying to like calculate the carbs of like a salad, I don't do it anymore, honestly. Like, if you want more greens, then you want more greens.
I think there's so few in it, it's almost not worth it. I don't think I've ever tracked salad, like ever tracked salad in MyFitnessPal or anything. Like, it's just not worth it. It's so few calories. Like, the maximum in a day is going to be not even 100 calories. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd struggle to eat 100 calories worth of spinach.
Exactly. Or kale. I mean, I can only eat so much kale, you know.
Unless it's like done really nicely, like in loads of garlic. Oof. Anyway.
No, I know you were talking about like posting, kind of like that kind of going down on consistency, and I know myself, but I don't know how you feel about kind of quality of content over the quantity that you're kind of putting out.
Yeah, I think quality for sure, because I used to be like a view of it's got to be post once a day at least, and I don't think it's the case now. And like, I think it goes down in the stories now anyway. I think stories are where I think that's just the better place to post, because that's more of like a snapshot of, you know, you and your day. It's more personal, whereas like a single photo or like short video on your grid is very different. And it's like, I've not posted for a few days. I think it's like I need like a food pose, and all I've been eating is burrata, and I've already posted it recently, so I'm just gonna have like a feed of, I've got 5 in the fridge. I need help.
Like, I find myself watching stories a lot more than actually searching through the feed.
Yeah, 100%. I think you can put so much more information out there as well. You can get to know people better in stories as well. I don't know. It's only recent, because like I used to hate as well. I don't know how you felt, but like I used to hate talking on stories, just talking in general on camera. Like, it always mortified me. But I think seeing more people do it, and then just kind of getting over it and doing it, it's I don't know, I feel I don't want to say empowered, because that feels really cheesy, but like I feel like it just gives you like an air of confidence as well, because people actually resonate. Like, the engagement that I get from talking about something like, you know, fast fashion or something around that, like, gets a lot more anyway. And that's what I'm here for. I mean, for me, like, social media is just about having like meaningful conversations. And I think you can get that on your stories more than your feed.
I've definitely felt that I just haven't wanted to post things with myself in it. It's a whole like seeing myself on camera, seeing myself like, you know, because you can then edit it however you want. And whereas like sometimes I've literally talked to the camera and then just posted it and not looked at it again, because I don't know what it, and this whole thing is going to be a massive obstacle for me to actually get through, is listening to my own voice. I feel like I'm so driven away from any form of narcissism that I don't even want to hear my own voice. Like, I feel such a detachment.
What do you think it is? Like, because for me, when I used to hate it, like I used to cringe so much, because like I used to like, I did a couple of YouTube videos a couple of years back. Oh, editing it was painful, was so painful. And I just used to think, this is just so embarrassing, I sound awful, because, well, like, sounds so different to what way we hear ourselves when we talk versus what, like, the way we hear ourselves played back is so different as well. And after posting like a couple of videos, like the YouTube ones, like I had such like good feedback from it, and I was like, maybe it's all in my, and I think again it's also all in our heads, but it's really difficult. It's like, I think that is one of the biggest things to overcome, I think. And I don't think we're alone. I think everyone feels the same.
It's such a first world problem, is that, oh, can't listen to my own voice. But I think because I was never a fan of like public speaking, quite introverted, that me talking to the camera is pure hell for me, and it is something that I need to get over, because at the end of the day I'm the face of my own brand, and I need to just kind of get over myself, to be honest. But even I find that maybe I know you say that everyone like hates their voice, but I think that I'm like quite nasally and quite posh because I'm from Cambridge, like, and it's quite hard for me to go.
I think people, like, we are our biggest critics as well. Remember that we criticize ourselves so badly, because like I have such a mix mash accent and I'm short tongued as well. So I know that like I'm always like, oh my god, I'm just like sound like a, you know, uneducated fool sometimes. And even think about like the group chat. Sally hated the sound of her own voice because she's like, oh, I've got a proper northern accent, and it's like it's just our voice. But I think people resonate when they hear people speak. I think that's a really, really big engagement piece, and I think we just put ourselves in our own way, I think. And you know, the one thing that helped me get over it initially was not actually holding the camera to my face and talking. Like I used to have the camera pointing at something else. Like I think I did like a couple of recipe stories where I was like just talking instead of like looking at the camera. That was like, I think one of the biggest things that helped me get over it, because then it wasn't me and my voice, it was just my voice. It sounds so stupid.
That is fair enough, and because then I guess you're only getting like half of what you kind of don't want to be posting.
Yeah, but genuinely, like I don't think you should have any worries about what you sound like at all. Like you have a really lovely accent. Don't stress yourself out about it. In fact, I challenge you, before you go on holiday, which isn't very long.
It's tomorrow.
we gotta hear you. We gotta hear you. Even just if it's one slide, that's my challenge to you. We're going to get over the...
Well, we're going to get over this. You can see me... I know, I'll have my mask on. You know, that's funky and current and...
there we go.
Relevant in the airport. Absolutely sold. It's honestly been a thing like since I don't know, like secondary school, that even before that, like just have never liked. I know like the sound of my own voice, and I don't know if it's like I had a lot of hearing issues in primary school. I had to have like grommets quite young because it turned out like I couldn't really hear anything for like 2 years, and
then just like, oh, you had no idea, for goodness sake.
It's just like reading lips.
I bet you're good at it though.
Yeah, it probably helps me now, but I find it's a bit too easy to switch off from what's actually like happening around me. Because if I'm not looking at someone, I'm like, oh, I wasn't really listening.
How you zoned out.
Sorry. I mean, people, to be fair, that they just say things like 3 times sometimes to me before it actually goes in. Like if I'm looking at my phone, I'm like, oh, da, da, da.
I have it where I say what did you say? And before they've even finished the sentence, I reply to it and I've replayed it before they've had a chance to say it again. I don't know if you've ever had that.
Yeah, and then you have to listen to them say it again, even though you've already answered.
Just being typical.
It's fine, we're over it. We've kind of like talked about like the whole spectrum, but for you, marketing in general for Slothmove, what would you say your kind of story would be if you were kind of like saying like how you were trying to build your business and what the best kind of marketing thing was for you?
We kind of went down the organic traffic route and we looked into search engine optimization a lot, because we kind of realized, like I was saying to you earlier, like we want to be this kind of like credibility, this authoritative voice, like actually helping people. And the best way for us to do that was to write like really detailed articles on, this is how you can update your address with DVLA. Oh, here's a convenient form that you can fill in. It's our form. That's free, by the way. And we did that with like DVLA and like Boots Advantage Card and Tesco, to the point where on our live chat we get like, oh, can I order a new replacement card, because they thought that it was like Boots or Tesco, like daily, at least 3 requests. So yeah, we kind of had this like, do we do SEO? Do we do ads? And we went down the SEO route, because I think when you kind of compare the two, if you are targeting, you can really, really target a blog post or an article at a specific person at a specific point. So someone that is looking on how to update their address when they're moving home, for driving license, or their logbook, or you know, all these other things with the council. Like if we know that somebody is searching for that, is the ideal person that our service is, you know, tuned for, as opposed to running ads, which is kind of like more of a sea, like a bigger sea of people that, you know, we can't really target as well. And as well, like for us, like it's such a unique service, it doesn't exist, like people don't know about it. So to put an ad up, like you'd have to get so much information in a very small real estate. Almost just wouldn't work for us. So, and I almost think like SEO for everyone, like I think it's really, really undervalued. Like we've managed to grow our site to 15,000 monthly views within it, and then we have around like 3,000 people go through our service off the back of that as well. So it takes time, like it's definitely like a time investment, but I think it's a better time and money investment for sure.
I've been reading this book, it's not sponsored, but I had to bring it up here, which is How to Get to the Top of Google.
Nice. How is it?
It's just about like SEO and just the most profitable keywords. Analysing your online competition and doing better than them is so important.
One of the best things. So find a competitor and their sites where you can go and see where all their backlinks are. Then you just contact those websites.
And then contact a few more after that, just to, up your game. You want your site to be above your competitors eventually. Like that is obviously like the goal, because if someone looks up, for instance, like moving house, changing bills, you want slothmove to be like up there. But I think people do take SEO for granted, because they think that that's all included. Like they bought a Squarespace subscription, they think that that's fine, like that's done. But things like that, like they take time and they take a lot of links, especially so obviously Shopify's had a lot of issues with certain stores that they are really struggling for traffic, and like no one can really like find a reason why. But I mean, in my opinion, it's probably due to lack of links within it and lack of code as well. Because if you've got a really simple site, Google's going to read it as just a kind of almost like a dead website, aren't they?
Yeah, and I forget the name of it, but basically, if you write an article, so for us, for example, we have changing address DVLA, but then we also have like a sea of all the articles around DVLA. So how do you tax your car? How do you do this? How do you do that? And then Google will be like, oh, this website knows about, is quite clued up on DVLA. They write a lot about that, so we'll bump them up. So I think we're like, DVLA is one of our top articles. Like I think we're third or fourth for that one, I think. And it is literally just since we've like started having these like other articles. It's intent, like it is really intent. Like if we really want to do well at SEO, like we were doing an article a day. We did an article a day a month, get it up there, get some backlinks. And what I didn't know as well, like I only found this out recently, but if you actually link to other sites with a higher domain authority, I didn't know that actually boosted you a little bit. Yeah. And that's like, duh. But I didn't know that. I just thought it was like if you get linked by someone else, but here we are.
We found that with obviously who I work for, that by linking people like Keto Connect and Wholesome Yum, that you do get bumped up.
It's like a whole game as well. And I think if you're going to go into SEO, like it's like a minefield. Again, like there's so much to it, and there's so many different strategies and so many different ways that you can do it. So the best thing to do is like really have a research into it. And another thing that you can do as well is post a job on Fiverr or Upwork, and they can actually have like Zoom calls with some of the people that you're gonna work with and understand what different strategies are out there. Like speak to expert.
And also, like, if you don't have the time to, for instance, do that, then you should be hiring someone on Fiverr to write those blogs.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you can give those blogs to someone else, I mean, why not? Like, I definitely want to get to a point where we can do that, or we just have, like, ghosts. Because, like, we've done, like, the authority content ourselves, because we kind of don't trust anyone else to do that. And we want to, like, we understand it, and we want to understand.
Yeah, of course.
But then things like, as we get into the more lifestyle, like day-to-day things, like I'd love other people to start writing, like what was their home move like have a COVID diary, how was moving in COVID, what was the difference, that kind of thing. So
yeah, even things like home decor and
how to shop a budget for sure.